Okay, welcome back everybody. Hopefully I've got the audio straightened out. Let's go ahead and cut this power cord out of here and just be done with that. Today what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to start checking some of these coils and the IF transformer, the oscillator coil, and the antenna coil. Looking at the schematic, you will see that the antenna comes in and goes to one side of the 20,000 ohm potentiometer, which is basically the volume control, and the other side goes to ground. Well, the wiper on that goes to the 77 tube of the first, or the oscillator, the first detector, and then the also it's tied to the primary of the antenna coil. So in order to check the potentiometer correctly and also the primary of the antenna coil, we're going to take and we're going to lift the lead. I've already done that. Lift the lead off of the wiper of the potentiometer, volume control, or whatever you want to call it. So now what we'll do is we will come here. Here's the antenna coming in. You may not be able to see it for the resistor there, but it's a feed-through insulator, and then it comes on over and goes to the high side of the potentiometer. So if we go to ground, here somewhere, we can just go right there, and to the high side of the potentiometer, we should see approximately 20,000 ohms or so. So that's 20.6. That's pretty good. Now we could probably put it on the wiper, and I don't know with the digital whether you can see if it's noisy or any bad spots or anything like that, but it is going up and down. So we're going to have to pull this apart. If you'll recall, the switch was bad in it, so we're going to probably pull this out and just redo the whole thing. All right, we're going to also, to ground, we're going to go to the wiper wire, which is right here, and that should give us the primary of the antenna coil, if you can see on the schematic, and it should be a low reading thereof, somewhere around 3 ohms or so. So the primary is good on that. Now, everybody I've talked to, and these are notorious for having open windings. Okay, so let's with that, let's go on to the secondary of that, which we could probably go to pin 5 of that tube and to ground and see the secondary of the antenna coil. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's not the tube, it's this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we got, that's not right. I'm lost now, guys. It's easy to get lost. So, oh, I'm sorry. It's not pin 5. It is the cap of the antenna coil, or the antenna tube, the first 77. So there we go. And there it is, right around 7 ohms or so. So feel like the secondary is good. All right, let's move on. Okay, we're going to move on to the IF transformer itself. Now we're going to be tearing into it a little later and changing the 4 meg resistor down to 2 meg based upon recommendations Ron Ramirez and the Philco forum site. So everybody says that is a good mod, so we're going to do it. So let's look at the schematic, and if you'll see here, the one end of the 16,000 ohm resistor ties to the bottom of the primary of the IF coil, and the other side of it goes to pin 2 of the first 77 tube. So I've already got this connected to, this is the 3 watt 16K resistor, which I've ordered. And I had to order a 5 watt, so I've ordered that. It should be here. It's already been shipped, so it's coming. Also ordered the 13K also. I wanted to get those exactly instead of just ballparking them. Also, I don't know if I guess I failed to mention in the other video or even in this one, but I have tested the tubes. I've pulled the tubes, cleaned them up, glued the bases back. They all tested high. They all tested good. So we're good with that so far. So this end of the resistor, and then pin 2, we should see the primary. Let's see, there's pin 1, 2. And so right here should be the primary of the IF transformer. And we're reading about 44 ohms or so. I think that one's good. So we're good there. Looking at the schematic again, we'll connect to one side of the 4 meg. Now it's inside the can, so it's on number 15, which that'll be right here. Well, let's use the other side, the other lead. That's number 15. And then if we go and look at the other end of the coil, it's on number 17, which is also the regenerative control. And we'll clip that on there. And we see about 55, 56 ohms. And so that's that looks pretty good. Now, if we were to go to ground from 17 to there, we're going to read that small coil, which is about 12 ohms. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. So let's go on to the infamous oscillator coil, and we'll see what we've got going there. Okay, looking at this part of the schematic of the oscillator coil. This is the oscillator coil in this area here, right there. And if you look on the secondary side, it's run to ground, which we have a ground here, and it's also to one side of the number 11 capacitor trimmer that is goes to the IF coil of the IF circuit. And so actually this is 11, and it's on the very bottom of it, and there's a nut and some wires there. So I'm just following the wire down, and I'm going to connect to the lead that's going to the coil itself, and it is 3.4 ohms. Okay. So the secondary is good. Now let's go to the primary. So we're still, if you look at the schematic again, it is to ground, and it's to one side of the 6,000 ohm resistor. So here's the 6,000 ohm resistor. It's across there, and you'll also see C7, that's R6, and then C7, which is a 0.0014 microfarad capacitor, is right there. So if we get on the wrong side of it to ground, the worst case we're going to see, is 6,000 and some change. If we get on the right side of it, we should see something very low on the order of 2 or 3 ohms. So let's check this side, and there's nothing there. That is not a good sign. We'll go the other side, nothing there. So it tells me either, well, if I just check one side and it was open, the resistor could be open. But checking both sides tells me that the primary of that is open. So let's check the resistor across there, and it should be somewhere on the order of 6,000 ohms or so, and we're reading 8,000, which is not uncommon for these things to drift up. So the resistor is good. The primary of that coil is bad, which I had been warned about this in some of the other guys. Bob, he warned me of it. He's had to rewind these. Several other people. These are notorious to get the green disease where it's corroded and what have you. So we're gonna end up pulling that out. We're gonna pull the IF out. We got to pull the oscillator coil out of there also. So the antenna coil, we're in pretty good shape. So we may end up leaving it alone, so we're going to do that. So all right. So far, we've only got that one coil, but everything else is pretty good. I had promised someone we had these particular, this is for the 80 pin. The socket was a little bit loose. So I'm going to show you how I tighten them. And you got to be real careful because sometimes these get a little brittle or so. And this one is just a springy. You don't want to go too far. You just apply a little bit of pressure on it. And you don't want to collapse it all the way. You just want to put a little bit more pressure on it. And that's pretty much it. Okay, let's check the field coil, the speaker field coil. And if you look at the schematic here, it basically tied to each one of the capacitors, filter capacitors, and I believe I'll put it in the inset. You can see that the filter capacitor has been changed. I didn't think it was at first, but these things are just hanging in air, so you can see that. So let's clip here. Our speaker field coil should be right around 1140, somewhere thereabouts. Let's put our booger picker on it, and we're looking at 1133. So we're in pretty good shape. Also, the same point is here is tied to the output transformer itself, and we can check it on pin 2 of the output tube, which is down in this area here. So we will check that, and it's reached 410, 200, 415, and it's supposed to read 400 ohms. So we're in pretty good shape. Let's move the speaker around here and do the voice coil and the secondary side. It's going to be really hard to do unless we take them apart, but it should be reading low, one ohm or so. Okay, let's connect up here. And so since they're in parallel, it's going to actually be a little low. So it's right at 0.9, 0.8, somewhere along in there. I don't know if you can see it or not, 0.7. So I feel like that's probably okay too. Okay, what I did is I just put some good glue there and put a clamp on it and put it together. Cleaned this mess up a little bit, cleaned it out. This is probably one of the flimsiest cabinets, but I got to understand it's also Depression era, so it was meant to be such. I believe I'm going to have to pull this trim off because the veneer, I'm beginning to think, and yes, the veneer was sandwiched. So this trim is going to have to come off very gently, and that's part of the structure. So we'll start taking some of this veneer off. I believe I've started peeling this a little bit, but I think what I'm going to have to do is wet this and maybe put an iron on it and take some of it off. And then we'll go back. Let's make sure we know the grain is running front to back, and we can do that. But this guy, guys, weighs about 1.5 pounds total. I mean, it is just unreal. And the guys, it's Carl and Bob, you know exactly what I'm talking about on this. This is extremely lightweight, and that's why it was so fragile. And it looks like this one's had some moisture over the years anyway. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but I think if we just take our time, we'll be good with it. Okay, let's start taking some of this stuff apart. Go ahead and desolder this. Take this tuning cap off, condenser off. But we're probably going to end up, I tell you what, let me just go ahead and clip these wires. And I'll tell you why, because we're going to end up replacing a lot of these wires. Some of these are cracked and everything, so let's just clip those. And that should take care of that. Let's put this. See, look how this works, guys. This should be like a reduction, and that's all tied up there. Let's go ahead and take this. Oh, baby. Take this dial light off. And we will go ahead and we will put this back on. Like this. You don't want to lose nothing like this. Let's see if we can get underneath here and see how many screws we need to take off. Looks like 3. This looks like one of the hardest ones to get to. Move that capacitor out of the way a little bit. Sorry the hands are in the way, guys, but wow, that's tight. And let's see if we can get around this one. Sorry, hitting the camera. These do have some star washers. I'm going to have to locate that other one. And let's see if I can get a hold of this one. I believe I'm going to have to take this out. Took that potentiometer switch out. We're tearing that apart after a while. So if we get this out, and it should, yeah, it's dropping out now. Should hit the table about now. All right, we'll put those screws back in it. Let's turn this back up. There are no grommets at all. Nothing to suspend it. Well, here's. But see, that should be sort of a reduction drive. And, well, maybe it's not. No, it's not. Well, okay. I was wrong about that, guys. But it still needs a good cleaning and lubrication. More critters falling in this thing. All right, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Just as a note about my audio, what was happening is every time I would change modes with my software, it would default back to Dell, which is my laptop. It defaulted back to its software for the audio, which put it through the microphone on the desktop, on the laptop, which that explained why the audio was so low, because it's 3 or 4 feet away from me. So that may be it. All right. We know where we've got to go now. We've got to do some serious cleaning. We've got to take some things apart. Going to have to rewind a coil, replace some components, rebuild some of those block caps, and then we'll go from there. So I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everybody hanging in here on the learning curve on this software and everything like that. So from Larry, from the hills of Tennessee, thanks for watching.